Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Bedford, welcome to the Phil Paleologus Show. With updates and breaking news from the WBSM newsroom and on the WBSM app. And your calls and conversation at 508-996-0500. Here he is, New Bedford's #1 talk show host, WBSM's Morning Mayor, Phil Paleologus.
Phil is off today. Brian in the driver's seat. Thank you very much, Kate Robinson. As I look outside, I see a thicket of clouds, and the sun is trying its best to peep over there. I'm going to say pretty close to Mattapoisett, but to get a better idea of what's going on, let's talk to our storm tracker meteorologist, Chelsea Priest, to find out what's really given upstairs today. Hi, Chelsea. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm well. How are you today?
If I were doing any better, you know the rest of it.
Got it.
But we got some nice rain last night. I didn't hear it.
Oh, I heard it.
Well, you know what? I sleep with headphones on.
Oh, okay.
Because I have a friend every once in a while who snores.
Got it. Well, yeah. No, I heard it like slamming against my window. It was actually pretty loud, but it was very brief. But a good soaking rain came through. It was a quick round, but again, we'll take what we can get. And now today, that system that brought that line of rain yesterday and the thunderstorms yesterday is pushing offshore, but kind of still spinning up to our north, the center of the system. And that's going to continue to wrap around some clouds today, a few spotty showers possible today, mainly into the afternoon. Today, the rain is very hit or miss. It's not something that everybody sees. It's not that soaking rain that many spots had yesterday. Overall, just prep for mostly cloudy conditions with temps in the low 70s this afternoon. Overnight, we dry out a bit. Tomorrow looks a bit brighter for our final full day of summer, temps in the low to mid 70s. And then on Thursday during the day, another round of scattered rain in the forecast. Fall officially arrives Thursday at 9:04. And then I have been saying it like the flip of the switch. On Friday, our first full day of autumn, we're looking at a high of only 60 degrees, so cooler than where we're starting the day today. It's going to be windy, too, feeling really crisp out there as we head through the later part of this week on Friday.
Like fall is really looking forward to coming in.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Seriously, going
Can't you take your time?
rush right into the area, move right in. Fall begins on Friday.
So when will we know what the drought monitor has stated? Do we have to wait until tomorrow, or are those numbers officially out now?
Thursday morning at 8:30 is when we get our updated drought monitor every week. So it's always Thursday morning, and the cutoff is 8 a.m. on Tuesday. So if we do get any spotty showers today, it's not going to quite factor in. But again, it's not going to take just one system. It's going to be slow going before we completely eliminate the drought conditions. But I'll have that update for you Thursday.
So you get it early enough.
Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say you don't get it that early. No, I'm watching you on. Well, I don't see you right now. I did watch you earlier this morning, though. Mm-hmm. Things are going pretty well over there.
Yeah, not too bad over here. I did also want to touch upon Fiona, obviously a major hurricane bringing flooding rain to Puerto Rico. We have so many people with relatives in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, and now that is a major hurricane, Category 3, continuing to track towards the northwest. It's going to stay far enough away from us and offshore, but I am expecting big waves and rip currents this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So anybody that's a surfer or just a spectator, so many times we get those storms offshore and people want to go down and just see the big waves coming in. That'll be later this weekend. Obviously, always use caution if there are very big waves,
So is this one of those storms that even bypasses Nova Scotia?
It's going to get close to Nova Scotia. It's actually going to make a track that unfortunately is looking like a Category 4 hurricane that's going to impact Bermuda, very close to Bermuda in the coming days, and then continuing to track north from there. It'll get close to Nova Scotia, unsure exactly how far out, whether it makes landfall in Nova Scotia or tracks just to the east of Nova Scotia. So that's something we'll watch, and that would happen likely late in the weekend, maybe late Saturday into Sunday or Monday. So pretty far out, but that's why it's far enough away that we don't have any major impacts, but certainly some coastal impacts.
So I looked at a lot of the footage yesterday of what happened with Fiona, and then of course it brings up what happened with Maria a few years earlier. Do you ever think that these storms just say, yeah, today we're hitting the Dominican, we're going to go to Puerto Rico, Haiti. They have a plan.
Right? And there has been some strange coincidences like that where there's anniversaries where storms hit on anniversaries of other major storms. It's pretty wild how that works out sometimes. It does almost seem like...
And yeah, in fact, didn't Maria hit sometime around this time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the 5-year anniversary, which is, and also something to point out, too. Obviously, Maria completely devastated the island of Puerto Rico. It was also a Category 5 hurricane when it made landfall. And this is just to show that the category doesn't always matter, because Fiona, which just impacted Puerto Rico in the past few days, was a Category 1 at landfall. But because of the way the storm was set up and because of the way it made landfall, just horrible rain and flooding. Each quadrant, if you look at a big circle of a hurricane, basically each quadrant, you split it into 4 pieces. Each one brings different concerns. And unfortunately for Puerto Rico, the way that landfall happened, they were on the rainy quadrant of that storm, and that's why there's just been such horrible flooding happening.
It looks like a great place, but when these storms come, just get out of there.
I know. Really? I know. It's scary. It's not that easy for so many people,
No, you're absolutely right about that, but still.
Right. Oof. And we go to visit those places, and we fly into kind of the metropolis areas of those places where it's easy transportation, easy in and out, but then you think about how big these islands are. Well, I mean, some of them are very small, but some of the bigger ones, and people are out in the middle of nowhere. So,
yeah, you got that right. Hey, Chelsea, thank you much. I do appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. We'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you.
ABC6 Storm Tracker meteorologist Chelsea Priest tracking the storm. Fiona going back to Maria. Man, I tell you, I see some of these storms, and I think when they leave the African coast, all they're thinking is, Puerto Rico, huh? Yeah, I think it's at Cuba. Let's. Well, how about the Louisiana coastline? These storms sometimes they just have a plan and they make their way there. All right, my thanks again to Chelsea for joining us this morning. Let's get a little music in, and then the Bitcoin Business Barometer. Up in a bit, New Bedford City, school committee member Chris Cotter is going to be joining us to talk about a few things going on. One in particular, he'll explain exactly what role Ward 3 Councilor Hugh Dunn has with the school committee. I'm interested in finding that out. But first, let's head over to the Bitcoin Business Barometer. As you know, we measure the universal crypto marketplace. The Bitcoin Business Barometer brought to you by Bitcoiner Network. And as I said earlier, I cultivated the number sometime around 4 o'clock this morning, I guess. Wow. Everything's up. It's like that slinky. Whoop, 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 whoop. Bitcoin, $19,357. Now, if you bought Bitcoin yesterday, which you probably didn't, but if you bought a whole Bitcoin yesterday, you would be up $880. Ethereum, if you got an ETH, you'd be up $64. That price right now is $1,356. Binance Coin, you still would have profited $9 compared to yesterday. It's at $269. XRP is up 3 cents at 34 cents. Cardano up a penny at 44 cents right now, or at that particular time. Solana is up $1. It's at $31. And Dogecoin, it's about the same, actually a fraction of a penny higher than it was. It's still at 5 cents. And that's your Bitcoin Business Barometer as we measure, as I say, the universal crypto marketplace. And my thanks to the folks at BitcoinerNetwork.com for bringing us the Bitcoin Business Barometer. Lots of things going on, but before I get into some of that, let me tell you about something I watched the other day on. It was a YouTube video, but I do know that this is a legit video. People have some question marks when it comes to YouTube video, and rightly so. But it dealt with this woman swimmer, who, by all accounts, is an excellent swimmer, a record breaker, a championship swimmer on the collegiate level, and certainly was during her days in high school. Well, along comes this guy, and I think his name is Lyle. And Lyle has gone from boy to girl. And so Lyle, now that Lyle is a female or claims to be female or identifies as female, Lyle gets to swim with the women's team. And this female swimmer that I was telling you about before, she and many of the other swimmers, they looked at it and said, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." Then this guy gets in the water and he's beating all the women. This frustrated many of the women. Finally, the female swimmer, the champion that I'm telling you about, she beats him. She beats Lyle. And she's happy as all heck. Then she realizes, well, now that I've beaten him, her, whatever, it's going to be difficult to stop males who identify as females from swimming with the women. Well, I thought, how does that work here? Here as in the Commonwealth. And so, as many of you know, the former superintendent of Fairhaven Schools is now the head of the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association. So I placed a call to Dr. Robert Baldwin, and I had a great conversation with him yesterday. First of all, he's all welcoming. If you identify as a woman, even though you may be born a male, well, you can swim with the women's team. That's the way the rules are written up. He says, he being Dr. Baldwin, so far, no problems. And I thought to myself, well, I'm sure he's right. I don't think he's just trying to make this up, and he knows I can always double check, triple check. And then we got into a similar conversation about males playing on girls' teams, and vice versa, girls playing on men's teams. And eventually I got to the point of saying, well, you might not have enough athletes. And Dr. Baldwin said, exactly, we don't always have enough athletes for all of the sports. Enrollment is down in the sports. Enrollment is also down in the schools. So I asked Dr. Baldwin if he ever saw a time when we have people that identify as a different sex, even though they were born of the opposite sex, if there will ever be teams to cover. So in other words, you were born a boy, but you've transitioned to girl, and you want to play let's say soccer. You want to play girls soccer because you identify as a girl. Well, the testosterone, even though you're young, is still going to be male oriented. I said, well, is there a chance that there will be, instead of just boys soccer and girls soccer, that there'll be a trans soccer team, and then trans boy girl, trans girl boy? And that's when Dr. Baldwin said, we don't have enough people for that kind of stuff. But I think we're getting to a particular point where pretty soon we'll have to start thinking about that. We have boys playing girls field hockey because there is no boys field hockey team. We have a case out on the West Coast where a girl, I believe her position was running back. She was playing on the football team, and a football team that they were going to go up against decided that they would forfeit the game because they didn't want to tackle a girl, afraid that a girl would get hurt. This might be a wake-up call for all the young women. Hey, go out there and play football. The guys aren't going to tackle you. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe they want to be tackled. Coming up in just a few moments. I just heard from Chris Cotter, and he is not going to be able to join us, at least not at 7:45 this morning. Something has come up. So at any rate, I still have that story out there, and I'm going to bring it to you this way. Should the MIAA, the governing body for high school sports here in the Commonwealth, should they allow boys that identify as girls to play in girls' sports? I'm talking about soccer. I'm talking about hockey. What about wrestling? Some of these sports where they could easily dominate. Track and field. Any thoughts on that? We'll talk about that during our next half hour. I'm thinking, and I say the men could easily dominate. And there's always going to be one or two women that will be better than the man. Look, I go out, and I used to go out, I should say, and play pickup basketball, go to the gym, especially in college. And there was always one or two girls you do one-on-one who were beating me. And it's because they were that good. I see a lot of female athletes today that are really, really good. They practice Title IX, whatever the proper title is, has certainly changed things over the past 50 years. And so all the best to them. But should they be competing all the time when a guy decides that he wants to identify as a girl? And what about, every once in a while, there's always going to be that guy that says, well, identify as a girl, but basically they're getting all the trophies in their closet. Any thoughts on that? 508-996-0500. Let's head over to Studio 6 and 7/8. That's where First Rate Kate is. Good morning.
Good morning. As the debate over transporting migrants to Democrat-led cities heats up, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is claiming that dozens of migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard went voluntarily. Meanwhile, the sheriff in Bexar County, Texas, has opened an investigation alleging the migrants were lured, flown to Florida, and ultimately left to fend for themselves at Martha's Vineyard. DeSantis chartered 2 planes to take the migrants last week as part of broader efforts by Republicans to bus migrants to Democrat-run cities. Today will be a busy day for President Biden. He's scheduled to deliver remarks on the Disclose Act, an election transparency bill that the Senate plans to vote on this week. Biden will also head to New York to address the United Nations General Assembly. Hurricane Fiona has been upgraded to a major Category 3 storm with winds exceeding 111 miles an hour as it heads for Turks and Caicos. This after Fiona killed 3 people and left behind catastrophic flooding and widespread power outages in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. The Biden administration is promising to help Puerto Rico as more than 300 FEMA workers are helping restore power and fix damage in the U.S. territory. The asylum seeker who committed suicide in a New York City shelter reportedly arrived in New York from Colombia with her 15-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter in May. There are reports she was separated from her husband at the border and had been unable to reunite with him. Her son reportedly found his mother dead on Sunday at the Queens shelter where they'd been living. The mayor says the tragedy is a reminder we have an obligation to help those in need, and that includes offering mental health services to those who need them. Accommodations for transgender children are being rolled back by Virginia's governor. New policies from the Virginia Department of Education include requiring students to use the bathroom that matches the sex they were assigned at birth. Students are also prohibited from changing their name or gender unless legally approved by a parent. The city of Jackson, Mississippi is being sued by residents over the recent water crisis. The class action lawsuit has been filed against the city and local officials, alleging years of neglect. It seeks financial damages and asks the court to force the city to repair its water system. Sexually transmitted diseases are on the rise in the U.S. Michael Kastner reports.
New cases of syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia all saw a spike through 2021. According to the Centers for Disease Control, syphilis alone jumped up 26%, while other common infections rose more than 4%. I'm Michael Kastner.
Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak is feeling backlash over a photo of him with Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. The picture was reshared on a Twitter account described as, quote, exposing right-wing extremism and other threats to democracy. While many people expressed outrage that the game show host posed with the controversial Republican, others called the controversy an example of cancel culture. And Kelly Clarkson now has her name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The award-winning singer and talk show host thanked her supporters and people who pushed her throughout her career at a ceremony on Monday.
I think that is why I'm here today, not just because of myself, but because of having just constantly teams of people that love you and support you and really want to make your dreams come true while making their dreams come true.
The original hosts of American Idol reunited as Clarkson was honored. During her speech, the singer thanked Paula Abdul, Simon Cowell, and Randy Jackson for being honest with her from the beginning of her career on the show. Cowell said Clarkson, quote, validated American Idol in the first season because they found a star. In sports, the Red Sox are set to begin a 2-game set with the Reds tonight in Cincinnati. Now for a look at your local forecast from ABC6.
Areas of dense fog outside this morning, otherwise mostly cloudy conditions to start the day. We stay mostly cloudy through the afternoon with highs only around 70 degrees. Some scattered showers possible later today and into the evening hours. Overnight, we gradually clear out. Temperatures will be in the upper 50s by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow looks partly to mostly sunny with seasonable temperatures, highs in the low to mid 70s. Another round of rain in the forecast for Thursday. From the ABC6 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chelsea Priest on New Bedford's News Talk Station 1420 WBSM.
Right now it is 64 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Kate Robinson for WBSM News. Stay up to date with New Bedford's News Talk Station, 1420 WBSM, and get breaking news alerts and podcasts with the WBSM app.
Take the Morning Mayor wherever you go. Download the WBSM app.
continue here. 508-996-0500 is how you get on the program today. Brian sitting in for Phil. Little Alf music for you. Let us see. Texas sheriff opens criminal probe into relocation of migrants to Martha's Vineyard. Javier Salazar is the sheriff of Bexar County. It's one thing. If you're going to do this, why not, why hold a news conference? But he did that yesterday. And he's looking into whether the 50 Venezuelans that came here last week on 2 airplanes were lured under false pretenses. The more we get into this, I see the yin and the yang, the tit for tat. It's going on back and forth. Now, I don't know this Javier Salazar. I don't know what county Bexar County is in Texas. Maybe it's the county, first of all, unless it's the county where these migrants were reportedly lured from, I don't see where this particular sheriff has a right to step in. But again, I'm not going to try to understand all the legalese. But basically, he's going after Governor DeSantis and he's going after Governor Abbott. I would agree that it's absolutely asinine to fly planes from Florida to Texas, back to Florida. Another plane stopped in, I think, the Carolinas, and then make their way to Massachusetts. But that doesn't mean that these folks were lured under any type of false pretense. I think what's going to happen here is everybody's going to get their bit of limelight. Governor DeSantis, Governor Abbott, Governor Baker, City Councilor Hugh Dunn, Maura Healey. A lot of people are going to get a lot of play out of this. The courts will see some action. Tax dollars will be spent. But when all is said and done, I don't think you're going to get any type of human trafficking charges against Governor DeSantis. False pretenses. I heard Governor DeSantis say, wait a minute. They signed paperwork, and I believe they did. But I don't know if they knew exactly what it was that they were signing. But, how are you going to, if you're this Texas sheriff, how are you going to try to win this in a court of law? I think the bigger scheme is to see if Congress will sit down and iron out some type of policy. 508-996-0500. Thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Well, I have no patience. I'm not a doctor.
Oh, I'm sorry. So sorry. Oh.
Brian, what that Texas sheriff is doing is all boo bait for the bubbas. I don't know if you've heard the breaking news, but Venezuela has opened its jails and are just dumping all its criminals into the United States.
No, where did you hear that?
It's just breaking news on the internet and on television right now as we speak.
So I'll turn the channel. What channel on TV?
Well, let's see. I don't see it now. It's gone off, but I just picked it up quickly on Fox.
Uh-huh. So now I have to believe Fox.
No. Jump on the internet and just Google Venezuelan jails opened send criminals to the United States, and you'll pick up many links. It's just breaking. Do you remember Castro? He opened his jails.
Yes.
And Jimmy Carter was president, and all the criminals were dumped into Arkansas and all over the United States. This is what they do when you open the borders, and it's just ridiculous. But I mean, that sheriff in Texas, I don't know what he's talking about. Brian, President Biden has opened the borders in violation of his oath of office to faithfully enforce the laws of the United States. Because he's not doing that, all bets are off. The governors can do whatever they can do. There's nothing in the Constitution, Brian, that says that states have to commit suicide by taking in hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens and taking care of them when the government does not pay for this, or the federal government. It is the absolute action of the president that's causing all these problems, Brian.
I know. Look, you know what? It's the same. Here's what I'm hearing, and I'm not denying any action that this president has done. I heard the same thing when Trump was in office. I hear it constantly. Everybody wants to blame the person in the White House. Congress needs to come up with a plan here. If we can't do it by the states, it's Congress. Now, did Biden change what Trump was doing? Yes, but a lot of people didn't want what Trump was doing to happen.
Oh, of course not. I mean, many Americans are good-hearted. They believe that, what is it, LBJ's War on Poverty from 70 years ago. If I just redistribute enough tax dollars, there'll be no more poor people in America. And that's insanity beyond insanity. You cannot do that. If you want to help poor people, you let them keep more of what they earn. You cut taxes. But that's the poison garlic to Democrats, cutting taxes for people, because then they don't have money to redistribute. So that's why it was never done. You want to help poor people? Let them prosper. Keep more of what they earned. And what is it? If you've adjusted taxes for inflation to today from 1916, you'd have to earn over $80,000 before a single penny would be taken out. Is that the case? No, it's not. So governments lie. People lie, Brian. But this insanity of redistributing money and opening the borders because the immigration system is broken, that's stupidity beyond stupidity. How does that help, Brian?
How does it help?
Yeah, how does it help when you open the borders because the immigration system is broken?
So, you know what? I don't look at it that the border is being opened. We had an open border before. We have checkpoints. Are they enough? No. The question should be, why does everybody try to sneak over instead of trying to come in and get a 30-day pass or a 6-month pass and then see where they can go from there?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So they sneak over because they don't want to bother with the law. The law is too difficult to obey because the immigration system is broken, we're told by President Biden.
Hey, I'm telling you it's broken too.
Well,
it is broken.
Fix it? What is broken, Brian? I don't understand this. Help me.
What is broken? It's who can come. It's a matter of who can come in and when they can come in. That is what's broken. It's also broken. Hold on. Let me continue with this, because you have such a Swiss cheese type of border, and also a law that nobody really wants to follow. It needs to be fixed.
But Brian, there are 1 million people roughly that get to become citizens each year. How is that not enough, or what is broken there? I don't understand.
I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you what is enough. Is 6 too much? Is half dozen not enough? I don't know. But here's the thing. No, that's right. I'm claiming it's broken because it's who is allowed out of that million. It's who is allowed or who's not allowed. That's the
what
problem.
What is the criteria then that bothers you? That they have no criminal record? That they have something to give to America? That they can speak English?
It doesn't matter if they can speak English, number one. If they have a criminal record, they shouldn't be allowed in. If they have illness, they should either be quarantined or not allowed in. But we should be able to let as many people as humanly possible come into the United States.
Even if they cannot take care of themselves and have no money?
We had that happen before. You know, how do you get people to fend for themselves? How do you get them to fend for themselves? If you keep on giving them program, the problem is the government. We've gone through this time and time again.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the government. But we cannot take people who cannot be additive to this country that have something to give in return for coming here.
Well, we've been able to do it before, and we see it happening now. You never know what somebody can produce until you give them the opportunity to do so.
Oh, no, that's fine. Let them be here for 6, 8, 10 months, a year or so, and if they got nothing to give, ship them back out, but they're not doing that.
Good luck. Good luck trying to find them then.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, got to let you go. I appreciate the conversation. 508-996-0500. That's how you get on the Phil Paleologos Show. No, I'm not Phil.
Children should be educated.
For one more caller before we go into the top of the hour. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
What would a functioning immigration system look like? Does it mean that we need to process and accept 2 million immigrants a year?
The numbers I can't give you any answer on, but what it has to do is make a decision. Do we say if you come from a communist country, you get carte blanche over people that come from a non-communist country? For instance, we let Cubans in, no problem if you can escape and get here, but Venezuela, which, was socialist, look what happens to them. So there's no compatibility to the whole thing. And the fact of the matter is, you've got employers out there that want to hire these people. So,
but what you want and what's legal are not the same. So,
well, you know what? I think what you're finding here is there's so much ambiguity that people are doubting what's legal, and you're going to have a dickens of a time trying to win something like this in court. And what isn't legal when you only call it trespassing?
Right. As far as women's sports, you have women competing for scholarship and professional contracts, and the most minute amounts of enhancement drugs or testosterone is a disqualifier, but performing on testicles is fine.
I hear what you're saying, man.
I mean,
loud and clear. Only because of time, I got to let you go, but I hear you loud and clear on that.
The South Side. Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.